Welcome to the secret garden of survival. As you can see, I'm surrounded by my food forest here, and some of the plants are doing so well and growing so fast and have so much fruit on them that it's become a problem in some respects. If you look over here, you can see I got a peach tree that has really done well, but this is so laden with fruit that I'm concerned that this thing is going to end up breaking off just because it's so heavy. And what I'm going to try to do here is prop up this branch, give it a little additional support. As you can see, it's leaning right over, and those peaches are not anywhere near ripe yet, so they're actually just going to get heavier. And since we want to consume and collect and preserve this fruit, I don't want to lose this part of the tree. So what we're going to do is try and prop it up, and how I'm going to do that, I think, is I've got 3 pressure treated 2x4s, 8-foot 2x4s here, and I've got some of these these actually came and held up a pallet. So I'm going to use those as braces. I get, of course, my ruler and a little marking tool, and then my handy dandy cordless electric drill with a star drive bit on it. And I have my favorite star drive screws that are impervious to weather. Of course, you're going to have pressure treated lumber to do this. But essentially what I'm going to do with these 2x4s is make a tripod teepee type thing. And then I'm going to drive the stakes in with a hammer. I'm going to use my CRKT machete to make these sharp little points so I can drive them in the ground. And then we'll prop the whole thing up. So I'll get to work, and I'll show you a little bit as we go along. Okay, so I've marked these 2x4s about where I think I want them to cross, or at least to leave myself a little bit of room for that branch to get held up in. And I'm just going to put one screw in here so I can actually move it one direction or another before I finally get it set up. So that's the one screw, and I'm going to set these up and try and get it in place where it needs to be, and then prop a third 2x4 there to get it where I want it to go. Give it some support and hold it. Okay, so I've got that branch braced up. It's still not really taking a lot of weight off of it, but I may have to try and brace it up a little higher. But that's 2 legs of the 3-legged stand, and I'm going to try and pull these 2 boards a little closer together so I can get it to stand up a little bit higher, and then screw them together. So that's probably about as good as I'm gonna get it here at this point. You know, it's tough to get the angle and stuff. So I'm going to screw these 2 together here. So that will stay where it's supposed to. And now I'll work on the third leg of this teepee. So I now have a tripod here holding this up, and these are screwed. Gotta get it, that's kind of a weird little angle here on this one, because obviously they can't go exactly where you'd like them to go, because you got a tree branch you got to accommodate in the way here. So instead of being able to screw it right between these two things, I had to screw this one to this one, and then kind of at an angle screw this one there. But ultimately what you got is a way to hold that branch up, so at least it's giving it some additional support, so this doesn't just break right off. Again, you still got a lot of fruit hanging over here, and we may lose some of these branches, but hopefully we won't, and we'll be able to harvest all this great fruit here. And then last but not least, I'm going to need to do something with these posts just to make sure that they don't move. So I'm going to put stakes in the ground there, and then I'm going to screw these posts, or these 2x4s, into the stakes right next to them. So let's do that, and I'll show you how that turns out. Okay, so it's pretty hard to drive the flat end of this board into the ground. So what I did is I took my favorite little machete and chopped this kind of an angle so it's a little sharper point. I might just do a little bit sharper and use that to drive it into the ground with that hammer. And it's pretty heavy, so that should get that right in there, and I will put it right by this stake and then screw it into the 2x4 right there. Alright, so I've got the stake driven into the ground next to my cross post here. Step back and give you a better view. You can see that stake is flat up against that. So now I'm going to screw that. So now I'm going to screw that together. Like that. I'll do the other two, and I'll show you what it's like when it's finished. Okay, so here you can see we've got this, whoops, sorry, hard to do with one hand and a phone, video phone, but a video on a phone. But you can see we've got this whole thing supported in a teepee type fashion. These stakes are like 90 degree, well, they have to be driven into the ground straight, so they're screwed in here. That one is screwed and driven into the ground, screwed in there, and that one is the first one that we did. If you can see, essentially we have supported this branch ultimately, even though these big branches are still leaning over from all the weight of this fruit, at least the rest of the tree won't topple over, and the major branch right there will be okay. So we may have these ultimately break here. Hopefully they'll hold. We do have a lot of wind that comes through here, so we will see what happens, and I'll keep you posted. But again, it's a lot of nice fruit that we don't want to lose, so we will do our best to save this and any of our other trees. Again, you know, this is the secret gardener survival. We don't use any fertilizer, any pesticide, any weed killer, and everything grows the way nature intended. And in this particular case, these kind of grew very fast, and there's an awful lot of weight on these branches. So we do want to have it live and produce more fruit for us year after year after year, which is the whole point. So might have to do something with this one right here, because that's starting to lean over too, but I think we'll be okay. So I'll show you what happens at harvest time, and we'll keep giving you more information on this and other plants in our secret garden of survival.